Welcome to the Legacy LaunchPod, where we help families build and scale their online business to the six-figure mark and beyond so they can break the poverty cycle, build generational wealth, and make a huge impact in the kingdom of God. It all starts right here. Okay, I've got a short one for you today, and I want Steve to answer this one. Sometimes some great questions come in, and I just want to address them because they're really good, and a lot of people experience that. So a question that came in was, how do you overcome the general fear of starting a business and just jump in? And I think this is a legitimate question because there's a lot of people that they were not taught entrepreneurialism, didn't grow up in an entrepreneur home, and everything feels risky in life. There's a lot of risk, there's a lot of unknown, and when you're not trained and you haven't trained your brain and you're just stuck in the day-to-day of life, it can be scary. So I'd like to ask Steve's perspective on how someone who's in this position, how could they change their mindset on the fear of the unknown and the fear of risk and the fear of jumping in?
For somebody who's sure that they want to, and of course, you can't ever be 100% certain of anything in this life, but if you know that you want to be an entrepreneur, that you want to be your own boss, you want to be in control of your own destiny, if you will, in that sense, at least when you start out, you have that fear, doubt, whatever, because this is all new. You've never done it before. You don't know what you don't know. There's all kinds of things that, questions that you have that you don't have answers to. And you kind of just have to jump in because there's no other way to do it. It's like I was talking to Ryder, our oldest, this morning about marriage. He's like, how do you know when you're ready for marriage? And there's some things I said, but the main thing was when you get married, you're ready for marriage. When do you know it's a good time to have kids? When you have them, right? Like you can never be 100% prepared for anything. So you just kind of have to do it. And then you have to own it and be committed to it because that's the only way you're going to succeed. And also, you can't be afraid of the fact that you are going to fail. Maybe once, maybe twice, maybe multiple times in different ways. But the only difference between somebody who is truly successful and somebody who's not is the person who's not successful has just been so afraid to fail that they've never even tried. And the person who's successful has failed multiple times and through each failure has learned and grown. And sure, it was painful, and some of those lessons are difficult, but unless you're willing to go through it and are committed to the outcome, this is why we think multi-generational. We're thinking 200 years into the future. We're not thinking of retirement in our lifetime. And what does that look like? It's what does our children's future look like? That's what we're aiming for. So with that in mind, you have a bigger perspective and you need a bigger perspective.
Yeah, if the only thing you're focused on right now is your personal feelings, you're not going to get anywhere. At some point, you have to ignore your feelings because they don't get to dictate your future. They don't get to dictate your children's future unless you allow them to. And feelings are not the truth. They're not the compass for your life. And so if you're scared, you're just going to have to ignore it, right? Successful people do it anyway. Everybody's scared. Successful people are scared. I was terrified when I started my candle company. We had to move across the country during the launch of it. The pandemic hit and everything hit the fan, and I was terrified of the unknown. I did it anyway. I could have just said, you know what, forget this. I'm not going to do it right now. But no, I took the risk because my feelings don't dictate what I do.
Right. And that's a good point because in terms of feelings, so, okay, you can either let your feeling of fear overtake you, the fear of the unknown. You can let that be more powerful, your most powerful, or you can let the future that you have, that you desire for your children's children, or whatever your vision is for the future, be the thing that dictates what you do. And, that's why I'm sure you talk about your why and stuff in your program and whatnot, but this is why people have a why, is
It has to
because
be
it
bigger.
has to be bigger than your fears, your challenges, and all that, and something you will move towards despite what comes up. It's the thing that guides you. It's your lighthouse. So turbulent waters will come, and yet you have a decision to make. Will you allow fear of the unknown or whatever unknown there is determine what you do or don't do and make that keep you stagnant forever? Or will you just pull up your bootstraps and move in the direction, even though you don't know all the twists and turns that will get you to the end result?
Yeah, and let's make this really clear. Successful people, when it comes to risk, yes, they typically have more risk tolerance, but it's not just about risk, it's about calculated risk. So they don't just, close their eyes and jump into a pool and plug their nose and have no idea where they're going. It's true. We don't always have the answers of what exactly is next, and we know move forward and the answers will reveal themselves. But they also have done research. Usually there's some research involved so that it's more about a calculated risk. Okay. So that's the difference between unsuccessful and successful, right? We're not gambling. It's a legit move that we're making that has been decided, that has been thought through, and then we don't take forever to do it. It's like once we made up our mind, once we make a decision, we move, we go. And I'm learning that all the time from people that I trust. You might take a little time to gather the information, to gather the data, to do the research. And then once you push the button, it's go time. It's game on. Let's go. We don't have a second to waste. So that's another thing. When you're ready to jump in, go all in and you know, no half-assing it. Okay. There's no going halfway. There's no middle ground. Like go all in, give it everything you've got, or else it's going to be another failure to launch. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in today. Don't leave just yet. I've got two things. Number one, if you enjoyed this content, if this was of any value to you, please leave me a review and share with a friend. This content is 100% free, so that's like leaving me a tip, and it's going to encourage us to keep making it. Number two, if it's your desire to build your own family legacy and you want some help, send me a DM on Instagram with the word podcast, and I've got something special for you. Again, DM me with the word podcast at Real Leah McHenry on Instagram. We'll see you next time.